Vika paid and tucked the bread into her basket, which contained a few sausages from the butcher and a jar of dill pickles from the grocer 2 streets down, where she had stopped earlier.
"Thank you,"
she said, already halfway outside. She adored Ludmila, but the bakery walls were too thick and the air too humid, like sitting in a sauna for a few minutes too long. It was much better to be outdoors, where there were no boundaries placed on her.
"See you tomorrow."
"Until then, Vika!"
Ludmila sang, as the door to the bakery swung shut. Vika stumbled as she hurried up the narrow dirt path that wound through the hills of Ovchinan Island and into the woods. She was supposed to maintain a practiced calm when she was out where people could see her, but it was difficult. Sergei said it was because Vika was like a djinni, whose bottle was too small to contain her.
"One day, I'll create a world where there are no bottles at all,"
she thought. For now, she wanted to get back to her father, and to the challenge he designed for her. As Vika crossed the perimeter of the forest, she leaned forward, muscles set yet relaxed, like a veteran racehorse on the starting line.
2 more years, she thought. 2 more years of training, and my magic will be powerful enough to serve the Tsar and the Empire.
Maybe then her figurative djinni bottle would finally be big enough. Vika jumped over logs and wove through moss-covered rocks. As she hurdled over Preobrazhensky Creek, which burbled as if it had its own lesson to hurry to, she spotted her father, sitting on a log. His tunic and trousers were muddy from his morning spent digging up valerian root. There were leaves in his beard, and he was whittling a chunk of wood. Never had a baron looked so much like a peasant. Vika smiled.
"The bread smells delicious,"
Sergei said, angling his nose at Vika's basket. She grinned.
"Perhaps I'll let you have some in exchange for starting my lesson."
16 years, and still no patience.
The laugh lines around her father's eyes deepened, as if his plough had gone straight from his vegetable fields onto his weathered brown skin.
"You confuse impatience with enthusiasm,"
Vika mock-scolded.
"Just because I'm the only enchanter in the Empire doesn't mean I'm going to rest on my laurels."
Her father dipped his head, conceding her point.
"Have you put up the shield?"
"Of course."
She'd had lessons for a decade now, ever since she was old enough to understand that enchanting was not only for fun, but also for serving Russia and the Tsar. Casting an invisible barrier around the forest before starting a lesson was something she did automatically, without a thought. Still, Vika glanced over her shoulder to make sure a villager hadn't strayed into the woods. Her entire life, her father had hammered into her that people had been burned at the stake for much less than what she could do. And Vika didn't fancy a death engulfed in flames. But no one was in the woods today. That was another reason they lived on this tiny forest of an island. There were but a few hundred people on Ovchinan Island, and they all lived on the flatlands near the harbour. Up here in the hills, it was only Sergei, a mild-mannered scientist obsessed with medicinal herbs, and Vika, his doting, if not entirely obedient, daughter.
"All right,"
her father said.
"I'd like you to create a lightning storm. No need for rain, just dry lightning. And aim for that tree."
He pointed to a birch 20 feet away.
"Why?"
He shook his head, but there was a gleam in his eyes.
"You know better than to ask why."
Which was true. He wasn't going to tell her what the lesson was. That would ruin the surprise. Besides, Vika liked surprises. Behind her, something darted out of the shrubbery. Vika spun toward it, hands poised to freeze whatever it was. But it was only a pheasant dashing into another bush.